Welcome to 1 Million Cent, the podcast where we equip you to share Jesus.
Hey, 1 million cent, 1 million cent. Get untrained and equipped 100%. 1 million cent, 1 million cent. Get untrained and equipped like 100%.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I am excited about this episode because the guy that I have with me is not just a friend. He's not just an acquaintance. He's not just a co-laborer in ministry. He's now a partner with us at Rage Ministries, the one and only Dillon Chase. Dillon, what's going on, my man?
Oh, man, we just got back to America about 6 weeks ago. And so after being in Japan for a year, so we're still just like getting as much Tex-Mex food as we can every week. I'm in town. I got some ministry stuff going on tomorrow with an awesome church. So yeah, I came in a day early to be on the podcast. Got free coffee out of it, so it's going good.
There you go, man. If we can ever give you free coffee, I mean that's a win. You know what I mean? At least it's somewhat of a win. So yeah, Dillon and his family spent a year over in Japan. Dillon is a Christian rap artist who just felt called to Japan. We're going to share a little bit more about that, I'm sure. And the cool thing, our continued just partnership and over in Japan as well. And but got back 6 weeks ago. Has your head kind of settled in, man? Have you found a new normal, or what's that like right now?
Yeah, I mean, it took actually a lot longer than expected to get adjusted to the time difference. So probably took us a good 3 weeks. You know, there was nights we were having dinner at like 2:30 in the morning, and it just felt normal. And but now we're back on the right time schedule. But we miss it. We miss the people. We try to keep up best we can, but it's hard being this far apart. And we look forward to getting back there, later this year to do some ministry. So
that's so good, man. Well, let's just kind of start out by sharing a little bit about, man, who you are, because maybe a lot of our audience don't know. Maybe they know your music, maybe they know of you, but they don't know you, right? And so tell us, you're a Christian rap artist. Obviously, you're a follower of Jesus. You're a husband. You're a dad. But how did you get to where you are? Can you give us maybe that real quick flyover of your story, your Jesus story?
Yeah, I grew up not far from here. So I grew up in North Dallas in the Colony, Texas. A lot different back then.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And man, unfortunately, both my mom and dad wrestled really hard with drug and alcohol addiction. So from an early age, I could see the devastation of sin and brokenness, but I never could really see the devastation of my own sin and brokenness until much later. But, growing up in Texas, being part of a Southern family, there's like this God consciousness, or you kind of think like religion is just like a checklist. And it's like, well, like I'm not Muslim or Buddhist, so I guess I'm a Christian. So I felt like a Christian growing up. When my things were going bad, I would pray. Yeah. But I mean, by the time I was in middle school, there had just been this cycle of different rehabs and living with different family members and staying with my grandparents. And it seems like every time my parents would get out of rehab, it'd be good for a couple months, and then we would hit a new low, to where it got bad enough in middle school that I kind of made a conscious decision to be angry with God.
Just because of life situations?
Life situations, so many unanswered prayers. I had the version of Christianity that I did encounter was more like you could manipulate God to do what you want if you had enough faith. And so I was like, well, this didn't work out. I was frustrated. I kind of made a conscious decision to carry a chip on my shoulder. Didn't want family. I thought marriage was a curse. Like if God really hated you,
you gave you a wife
for the rest of, he gave you a wife. So I was like, I want to be a rapper. I just want to do my own thing. I want to have a lot of money. I want to, build my own life separate from my parents. Eventually in high school, it got so bad, I just had to leave my house. Ended up living with my aunt for a while, and then had nowhere to stay going into my senior year of high school. And my friend's family took me in, man, and they loved Jesus, and they had a life that made no sense to me. The husband loved...
That's a great tagline. They loved Jesus, and they had a life that made no sense to me. Golly, that's so good.
I mean, the mom and dad loved each other. The mom and dad flirted with each other. I'm like, is this your dad's girlfriend? Like, no, that's his wife. And they had a house with structure and authority, and he would ask me hard questions, and he would trick us into reading the Bible. He would give us a bunch of scriptures and challenge us to try to make a rap song out of it. I mean, do you know
that's nice,
how hard
man.
it is to pronounce Ecclesiastes when you never even been to VBS, man? Like,
I've been to seminary and it still trips me up.
Man, it was a trip. And so I didn't, receive Christ right at that moment, but that seed began to be watered and God began to bring increase. And about a year later, I always say that, I wasn't at church camp. I wasn't even at church. I was in my 1998 Ford Taurus.
Come on.
It became a sanctuary that day. And I was, in the same moment, I was convicted of my sin. But in the same moment, I was convinced of God's unfailing love for me. And he brought a lot of healing to me that day because I realized, I could be a victim and always just say, God, where were you when this happened, when this tragedy happened?
Right.
Or I could recognize that where he was 2,000 years ago. He came to live a life I could never live, die a death I deserve, resurrect from the grave. And this family that took me in their life was evidence that Jesus was real. And so I realized that the darkest part of my story was not the sin that was done to me by my parents, but the sin that was living inside of me that was wrecking my life. And so I turned from it. I was convinced of God's love. I proposed to my girlfriend about 2 months later. Then we got married in December of 2005 at Denton Bible Church. And now 18 years, 4 kids later, and music was already kind of part of my life. And then it just felt natural just to keep writing music,
Dude, that's I love it, man. And no matter what your story is, if you're in Christ, you have some version of that story, right? It may not have been, like yours, but like mine. I mean, I grew up in a good home with moral parents who were Christian. We definitely did the Sunday morning Christian thing, church thing. But it came to that point in my life where I realized, I need Jesus, right? Jesus has to be my Lord, right? That Romans 10:9. And man, I just love that story. I didn't realize that your whole roots were here in Texas. I knew you had been there. And then how did you end up in Oklahoma? I know Oklahoma's home for you now.
Well, I want to say one other thing that, man, I get in trouble for forgetting this part. It's a huge part is that, God also, restored my relationship with my parents, and they both have experienced Christ. My mom has been sober since 2008, just a totally different person. It's something I cling to, the work he's done in my life and the work I've seen him do.
Yeah.
In my mom's life as well, and my relationship with my dad, just to see that restored and be able to champion that for young people who can't see it right now when they're 13 years old. It's like, dude, you never know, man. You could be, in your 30s and God will restore it and it'll be worth it and it'll be that much sweeter, So how did I end up in Oklahoma, bro? Witness protection.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Believe that.
I was in the perfect situation, man. As a young believer, I was like a ship without a sail. Yeah. Like I was just going to this big church. It was really flashy, but you just kind of sneak in and sneak out. And then I had this music stuff going on, and I go to a studio that was it was called Grime Life Records.
Grime
Life. This is not Christian. They're based out of like Irving. I met them like on the battle rap club scene when I was probably 16 years old. So now I'm like 19 and I know they had a studio and I'm like, hey, I had this song called My Testimony. I literally think every Christian's first rap song is called My Testimony.
It should be, yes.
And so these guys knew me from before, and I can't lie, it's like a little weird like recording this because these dudes are like, whole different culture in life that I used to be a part of.
Right.
Guess what they tell me, man? They're like, I'm like, so do y'all have like a lot of good rappers who come through? And they're like, no, it's pretty horrible. Like we have to record such bad music. But there's one guy who's actually really good who records here. So this is in 2005, early 2005. This other guy records at the studio. His name's R.A.G.E. You should check him out. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I think I got an email address for him or something like that. And probably sending the most embarrassing, email because I'd only been saved like 4 months.
Yeah.
No. Maybe, no, like less than a year.
Yeah.
don't even have all the lingo down yet.
That's all right.
I was like strangling demons, and I was doing a lot of weird stuff in my music. And so that led me to a situation of my wife was going to be going to college in Denton. So I moved to Denton. I got an apartment. There was a college ministry. There was a church plant. And here I am, a young believer, going to church with guys who are more seasoned in the faith and who are modeling to me like what it looks like to make much of Christ and still like impact music culture. So I'm going to church with Tadashi and R.A.G.E, and they have a studio in the back of the church, and they're letting me make music there. R.A.G.E helps produce my first album, for free. And I'm getting ready to come out with the album, and dude, we hit a really like hard place financially, and a situation opened up where we could move to Oklahoma. And so I had to leave what was just like, for me, was an amazing ministry environment. But for my family, it wasn't going to be, what was best. And so I'll never forget, man, like a pivotal moment as I haven't even been married a year yet. We're dead broke. Like, I told my wife, I don't know who told me this. Maybe it was in premarital counseling. It was good advice, but it was like, your wife needs to feel like she's protected and she's covered. And I remember asking, like, what makes you feel more protected? Like us staying here and risking it, like, because it's just been 5 months of just struggling and not getting on our feet, or going to Oklahoma and like starting over. But there was a rental property that my grandparents owned that they said, we could stay at. Yeah. And my wife said, like, I want to move to Oklahoma. We didn't know anyone. We had no community. We picked up from this amazing situation of community of just like-minded believers who also had some similar giftings and things too. And in 2006, man, we moved to Oklahoma with a 12-month plan to get back to Texas. And somehow 2024, we're still in Oklahoma, bro. Once you go in, man, you can't get out.
I've heard, I mean, you're so in. Your handle is
okay. Yeah.
Go ahead.
At Dillon Chase.
At Dillon Chase. Okay.
But to the 14-year-old who's probably now like 20 something, when I asked you for that handle, you tried to charge me $500. Whatever 13-year-old had Dillon Chase, he wanted to charge $500 for it. Smart kid.
Hey,
smart kid.
Gotta make that money.
But I'm like, how do I know when I give you the 500 that you give me the handle? So there was just no way.
Is he still on there?
Probably, but yeah, he's probably. It's been a long time. He's like 25 now. He's probably got a wife and kids. Maybe he'll give it up for free.
You should reach out to him again.
Man. But I don't know. Dillon Chase, okay.
Yeah,
it works now.
It kind of go. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I got to throw a dad joke in there for us, So
Oklahoma is okay.
That's awesome, man. And I know that Oklahoma loves you, man. God has used you greatly in that state and beyond. And we got to partner together at a camp 3, 4, I don't know, 5 summers ago now. I don't remember now when it was. We've done a lot of ministry together.
I remember the first thing we did was like a student weekend with R.A.G.E.
That's exactly. Yeah, that's right. Out in the Panhandle, wasn't it?
When you pulled up and the family came out, I was like, oh, this is my people. Because I travel with my family from time to time.
Right, yeah.
And I always feel like that's like a good measure of a man. Like, do his kids like him?
That's right.
Does his wife want to be around him?
Amen.
Because like, if your wife wants to be around you on the road, I'm like, you know what? God's really using you, man.
That's a win. Yeah,
that's a measure. So we just hit it off, man. That weekend.
That's right. That was a fun weekend to get to work together. And then we have found out, man, we got a ton of mutual friends and everything. And so our friendship's kind of grown. And then about, I guess, 2 years ago, man, you were like, hey, I think God's sending us to Japan. And you didn't know what that looked like, how that would happen. And, I don't even remember how the conversation started, but through, I guess, God's work, man, he brought us together, allowed us to be part of getting you there. And, man, just being a conduit is kind of what I saw our ministry as for you. And so I went to Japan, man. Tell us about that. God calls you to Japan. You're having a successful ministry in the Christian rap artist.
Biggest year.
Yeah. Isn't that how God does it, right? You got the biggest year, and then God's like, hey, I want you to pack up, go to Japan. And y'all commit for a year. What did that look like there, man? How was that?
Man, forever changed, forever better for it. So scary.
Yes.
Even putting your yes on the table, and then once you guys got on board and we knew, okay, like we have a way to ask people for money, like, because that was like step one. That's I don't want to just tell people, hey, could you like cash at me some money? I promise I'm gonna go to Japan with it. I was like, we need structure, we need accountability.
That's right. Yeah.
So you were like door number one.
Wow.
And so someone told me, when it comes to missions, everyone's think about going where you're needed, but you actually have to just scratch that question off, because you're needed everywhere. You're needed. Fair. You're needed everywhere. You're needed in America. You're needed, you know what I mean? So you have to go, well, where is God calling me? And then you have to say, well, has God, what is a gifting in my life that would be useful on the field?
Right.
So we check those boxes. We talk to our pastors at our church, and it's like, okay, we see there's a giftedness we have. There's a desire to go here. Japan is one of the most unreached people groups, and they're wide open to the gospel. You can go there, start a church. Government's not going to shut you down or something.
Okay.
And we had an opportunity, but we needed a way to have accountability, to have covering, and boom, we partnered with Rage. Yeah. And at that point, it became a prayer of like, God, you could like not open a door now, like, because we said, Lord, if you open the door, we'll take the next step.
There you go, man.
And it's like, boom, September, big step. And it's like, we just kept stepping until January. We're driving to Houston to pick up our visas.
I remember
February, we're getting on a flight. We land, and then 8 days into Japan, I preach my first sermon in Japanese. I don't even speak Japanese.
Hold on. Now, I got to say, it's one thing to say, hey, I'm called to the mission field, I'm called to Japan, but I was at camp with you. My brother was working on his Japanese 2 years before God got him on the field.
So
and
that's important
I know you didn't seem fluent to you,
right,
but I was like, golly, this guy's putting in the work, you know?
Yeah.
And then God just gave you favor in that, I feel like. So he pushed 8 days later, 8 days into Japan, pastor.
Unheard of.
He's like,
unheard of.
Let's go.
You know, I'm reaching out to some other missionary friends like, man, I didn't do that till like 2 years in language school, and it was still terrible. And so I got it, you know, got my Japanese manuscript, and it's translated. And dude, it was like a 10-minute sermon, honestly, bro. It took me 30 minutes though. Just imagine, you know, the English equivalent of like speaking at this pace, like, and Jesus came to give life. And it was, and they suffered through it. And we continued to motivated to learn the language. We were so busy, bro. We didn't have time for language school. We just had time to work. And so my wife and 3 of our kids, our oldest is already an adult, you know, and out on his own. Yeah. We just start loving on people, loving God, loving people, using one thing that's cool about the foreign mission field, maybe this is only in Japan, is that you can use the foreigner card or the American card.
Right.
And totally break like cultural norms and cultural rules, but it's okay because like they have grace on you because you're an American. So doing things that would be very taboo, but getting away with it.
Right.
And there's an extra set of eyes and extra attention paid to you when you move into a community where you're the only white person, you're the only American. You got blonde-headed kids running around, knocking on doors, which is totally very like abrasive, and in Japanese asking people, can I give you a hug? Which they are not like, you stay away from each other, you bow, you know what I mean? Like you keep some distance, but people's hearts were just so warmed to the family.
I love your kids because I could not see them do it. They're like, nope, we're going in for the hug. We're going to, and we're not even going to apologize for it.
Yep. And then, you know, JoJo's like, you know, he's special needs, so he doesn't pay attention to cultural barriers, and he's just, you know, if he sees something with like a texture on it that he likes, he's just like petting people's arm in line at the grocery store. But everyone was so warm to our family, or they just faked it really well. Yeah. But man, when I tell you we're able to share the gospel with nearly everyone on our street, we're able to pray with people. We just sent a package to our little next door neighbor kid last week because we want to maintain like that relationship, man. And so we saw God move in great ways. We got to see people profess faith in Christ. So I would preach with a Japanese, you know, manuscript. I'd have help from native speakers to translate it. And one of the coolest things we did, which you can check this out on my social media, is we did like a 6-minute testimony video.
Yes, it's awesome.
One in Japanese with Japanese subtitles, the other one in Japanese with English subtitles. And just very like explained the gospel in a very simple way, but tied it into our life story.
Yeah.
And I barely finished that, like our last week in Japan, and was able to go to all these people I've been building relationships with. Cause bro, and you know, this is I'm like preaching to myself right now and everyone else, who loves Jesus and lives in your culture. So you're indigenous to your American culture and you have the language. It was like a burning in my heart to like build relationships with people for months and not have the eloquent words to share Christ with them.
Yeah.
There was one time at the barbershop, like I tried to start sharing with the little words I had. So like, I'll give you like the English version of what I'm telling my barber. I'm like, teenager, so sad, homeless, no peace. But now Jesus, so happy, peace. You know what I mean? Like these are the little words I have.
Yeah, I love
but he's looking at me like, okay, you're speaking Japanese, but I don't really understand where you're going, you know, because I wanted to be able to eloquently share it. But I'm like, man, I could do that in Oklahoma every day of my life because I'm in the culture. And it caused me to realize what a gift it is to love Jesus and just live in your community, in your culture, and use the gift of just language, you know, to share Christ. So thankfully, by the end of my time in Japan, my barber was able to watch my testimony video and to hear me speak at a higher level of Japanese than I really had. You know, I had a lot of help, bro, months. I'm talking, if you go back to when you saw me backstage studying, this is literally years in the making to present the gospel in Japanese with my testimony. And so that's something that will live on through YouTube and through digital media to continue to be used as a tool. And so, man, when God called us back, I always say, like, we didn't necessarily want to go back, but we knew we needed to come back. A lot of things that God was calling us back to here with our oldest son and with our youngest son, you know, who's special needs. But already I have 3 opportunities to go back this year. It's all about, do I have the money to do it, you know? But there's so many opportunities to partner with churches at strategic times and to use music, man, as a tool to draw people in. It's amazing, the gift of music. You know, one time we got to literally rap in front of the train station as people are getting off. Thousands of people. As kids had tracks and we're inviting them to the concert we were doing later. So yeah, man, just excited to partner with like-minded churches and also using my platform here in America to connect students with work in Japan. So I just did an event last week outside of Houston and connected 4 students with a ministry in Japan that host teenagers over the summer. So yeah, I'm hoping to like get some people to sign up and get some boots on the ground.
That's right, man. That's what I love about the kingdom, right? It never stops moving forward. And we're just a piece of that, whether that's here.
Like you two said, with or without you.
I was thinking that, just like you two said. But that's so true. It's like, hey, God can use you in Japan. He can use you in Oklahoma. Where you need it, everywhere, right?
Everywhere.
But I think the obedience of being obedient where you are is so important. That reminder to students, that reminder to us adults is like, hey, you know, take a mission trip, but if we can change our mindset, that our whole life, every day is a mission trip.
Yes.
Every day is an opportunity to make an impact. Every day is an opportunity to share the gospel. Every day there's opportunity all around us.
And that's an exciting life, man.
It is, man.
You know, when I first had the heart for Japan, my wife, you know, was 0%. And I literally asked for a percentage. She said 0%. I was like, all right.
Interest in going to
Japan.
Okay, all right, yeah.
I'm not going to move an inch in that direction until you have peace, you know. Yeah. Eventually God gave her peace. Man. Yeah. I've had help. And God gives her peace and I start talking about what I'm going to do. And my wife was like, you're not even doing that now. I'm like, well, I'm busy. I'm traveling. And so, dude, the next week, because one thing I was going to be doing would be teaching like kids church. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the next week, dude, I signed up to teach like the pre-kindergarten Sunday school class at my church, bro. That's tough.
That's real.
It was harder than like doing like a camp of 1,500 teenagers, bro.
No doubt.
8 5-year-olds and no snacks.
No, bro. No.
And so I would say, bro, I always was lacking on the snacks. They hated me, man. But to students, what we're saying is, you're not gonna magically encounter superpowers when you go on a missions trip or called overseas.
Right.
If you're not doing it now, there's very little chance you're going to start doing it once you're there, because let me tell you, every weakness, especially on the foreign mission field outside of culture and community, every weakness you have will be amplified. And every strength that you have will be dulled a little bit, right? So like my gift of communication and all these things, not as strong out there in Japan. And so, man, we saw the Lord grow us in ways, expose things that needed to be worked on. I can say our marriage is better for it. Our walk with Christ is better for it. And we have a better idea moving forward. If God was to ever call us back there, full time, we would have so much more wisdom about how to do that, because it's complicated, bro.
Yeah, man.
Being in another world.
Well, somebody said you're just building a plane as you're flying it. Like in a lot of ways. Like you're like, okay, I have an idea. Oh wait, that does not work here.
And also, I think we could have this view of. Now, remember, there's something like unique about the foreign mission field, right? It's like so exotic, and it's one thing. It's just as important to plant a church in New York City and stuff. But I think young people, myself included, can almost like idolize this foreign mission, because you read these great biographies of like missionaries, and like you just picture like getting on some boat and like getting dropped off at the coast, and you're just like, just starting a church. There's actually this Jimmy Buffett song. You know Jimmy Buffett?
Yeah, in the
Jimmy
5 o'clock
Buffett
somewhere. Is that guy?
I think he did the remix. He has a song called about a pirate 40 years late or something. Like a 40-year view, a pirate's 40-year view or something like that. I don't know. But basically, it's a song about how he wanted to be a pirate, but he was born like 200 years too late. And he's like, man, there's nothing to like plunder anymore. The cannons aren't booming. Like, I want to be a pirate, but I was 200 years too late. And sometimes I think you want to be a missionary like the way it was in the 1800s, but you're 200 years too late. Yeah. Now it's a lot more like months of paperwork. Yeah. And being part of your local church and being sent by your local church. And wherever you're going, there's a connection between who sent you and who's receiving you, and it's not as wild and glamorous as it once was. It's a lot different. Like that view you have from some biography you read from the 1800s, that's probably not going to be your experience. That's like trying to be a pirate, man. You're 200 years too late.
200 years too late. Well, I know you're right about ministry, but our mission work, and I think one of the ways that teenagers specifically maybe watching or listening to this would wonder and say, how do I be a digital missionary? I know that social media is crazy. And in a moment, your story or in a moment, a video could go viral all over this country, all over the globe. Somebody wanting to impact somebody, like you said, start where you are, be active where you are. And I always encourage students, hey, where are you a lot on social media? So I'm for real. I'm like, hey, if you're not being a missionary with your social media, why would you go be a missionary anywhere else, Yeah. So what would you encourage somebody with who maybe is on social media and they're like, I don't have a big following. Do they have to have a big following? I always say no. Somebody's following you. So how can they leverage social media to, share the gospel, to be light, to be on mission?
I would say, let's just throw out some general guidelines. I would say, on social media, what if you just started with trying to contribute more than you consume? There you go. Because sometimes it is so easy to consume, and it'll leave you feeling weird and sick, almost like a night of junk food. Yeah. And if you could be more intentional, like, you know what, I want to contribute more than I consume, because I find myself like always on social media, but always consuming and not contributing. So contribute to the conversation, and don't put pressure on yourself. Yeah. And here's the thing. So the second thing would be, be authentic.
I love it. Yeah.
Now that takes work, because if you ain't really having your time with the Lord, not just like setting it up for the pick, if you're not really living in community, then you have nothing to pull from to contribute, because you're empty, because you're consuming all the time. But if you're actually living an authentic life with Christ, then I guarantee you're going to have experience to draw from. You're going to have things that the Lord has shown you to share. Just turn the camera on and say, man, I was reading my word and this hit me. It could be 30 seconds. It could be, hey, we got, small group meeting at my house tonight, or, I'm at youth group tonight leading small group. But you have an authentic life that's living on mission with Christ. And now you're choosing to, at certain times, to capture that and contribute it to social media, to contribute to that conversation. Yeah. But I think it's got to be contribute more than you consume. be authentic. Like, don't be a persona on on social media. Don't just be a persona. Just be the person who God has made you in Christ, and be authentic. But authenticity, that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, man,
I think that's a scary word for young people.
Yeah, it is. You know, everybody wants everybody to be real, but they don't want to be real. You know, I found that, you know, so I think that's a real struggle. Well, man, I know God has gifted you with this ability to rap, and I love rap. I got saved. Not by rap, but I got saved from gangster rap, trash.
I remember you're driving a truck, right?
I was, man, driving a truck, got rid of it, man. But rap music I've always loved, and I still love it and consume it. But I just consume Christian rap, you know, and a lot of people are like, oh, that's not, well, you know, that's who I am, you know, and that's what I love. And so this partnership's kind of crazy for me. But I want people to get a taste of Dillon Chase. Okay, so. We did not pre-rehearse this. We did not think this. So I'm going to have Dillon do a freestyle. He'll do this sometimes at events where has people pick out words. How many words should I give you?
Let's just start with 3.
3 words, okay, 3 words.
And then what coffee shop are we at? Redefine.
Okay, Redefine.
Give them some context. We're in Grapevine.
Yeah.
This is the 1 Million Cent podcast.
Yep. All right. So you ready for some words?
Give me some words. Let me close my eyes and get focused. No, that's a bonus. So you can give me 3 more. Yeah.
Okay, 3 more. Okay, so I'm gonna go with generation.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with express. Generation, express, and how about cappuccino?
All right.
Generation.
We're doing this a cappella.
Express. Well, you don't want me to give you a beat. I'm happy to.
This is like Church of Christ style right here, man. Hey.
There he is.
At least, you know, I'm really trying to stay fly. It's Dillon Chase, man. I'm chilling in Grapevine. You know that he's divine, and we at the coffee shop that's Redefined. You know, I'm trying to see young people run to God fast. We on the 1 Million Cent podcast. Freestyle, do it speedily. Shout out to season 1, 2, and season 3. Freestyle with the next flow. Let's go. Keep it moving like an echo. They say I rap for free though. Holy Spirit juice me up like cappuccino. Freestyle with no hesitation. Never been mistaken for lost generations. We trying to reach a generation endangered. We drop songs, sermons, man, big bangers. Freestyle, and I'm the next bless. And this word is what I'm trying to express. Freestyle, man, you gotta know. My favorite evangelist, Ryan Fontenot.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
I don't even know if that was good.
Dude, that was like no beat, nothing in here but you. Dude, that was fire, man. I love it.
Because of the pour over, man.
We gotta drop. You gotta drop some. We're gonna send you that, and you gotta drop a sample beat behind it, man.
Oh, well, let's talk this real quick.
Okay.
That we have. You know what? Actually, when does season 3 drop though?
About a month probably for now. Yeah.
So then probably now.
We're getting close.
It'll the song, the Rage anthem will be out.
Oh my gosh, it's so
got a
good.
song coming out just really embodies the heart behind Rage. I don't know if we should call it Rage or We Are Rage, man. Because We Are Rage is more like accessible because there's less songs called that.
Okay,
so many songs called Rage.
Yeah,
so.
We Are Rage. Yeah, I like that. I like that.
It's about to be crazy.
That. Oh man, I love it. I love it, Dillon. I'm excited about our partnership in the future. Hey, for those of you listening or watching, hey, Dillon is now part of Rage Ministries. You can book him to speak. He preaches, does an incredible job preaching the gospel, teaching the text, pointing people to Christ. Man, super thankful for that. But as well, continue to do his rap artistry. And man, I think Dillon writes more songs than anybody I know. I feel like he puts out a new song all the time. But Dillon, where can people find you? I know it's at Dillon Chase OK, right?
Yeah, on Instagram and stuff, at Dillon Chase OK. Of course, through Rage Ministries, you know, booking. You can book me for music, speaking, all of that.
Do you do the combo deal too?
I do the combo deal.
Oh man, let's go.
2 for $20 like Applebee's. So
I love it. I always tell people, you know, I'm jealous of guys who can sing and preach. You know, now I'm jealous of guy who can rap. You're the dual threat is what I call, man. You can bring it all.
All I do is I write songs and I write sermons. You know, I write sermons. I just take the rhymes out.
I like it. I like it. Sometimes they come through though, don't they?
They do. I've been accused of that.
Is alliteration really easy for you?
It is for every Southern Baptist, bro. What are you talking talking about. That's like one of the spiritual gifts of Southern Baptists is alliteration.
Oh, I love it, man. Well, Dillon, I'm excited you are home in the States. I'm excited about our future partnerships in Japan and wherever else God takes us. I know we just had a conversation with a guy in from Costa Rica. He wants us to come over. So, hey, man, like let's
sign me up.
Sign us up,
send
man.
Me, I'll go.
That's send me. Oh, wait, I've heard that one. So, hey, for those of you listening, watching today, thanks for tuning in. Hey, if you were blessed by anything, make sure you share this out. If you want to connect with Dillon at Dillon Chase OK, if you want to look at him for booking, RageMinistries.com/booking. You won't regret having him in. He is a blessing and just a joy to be around besides the gifting he's been given. So, hey, as we sign off for today, I want to say thanks to Redefine Coffee Shop for letting us be in. Kenyon and Katie Coleman, y'all are awesome. Super excited. If you're in the DFW area, drop by, check it out. Redefine Coffee, Grapevine, Texas. And wherever you are, don't forget this. Today is a great day to tell somebody about Jesus. Let's go.
Amen.
1 million cent, 1 million cent. Get untrained and equipped 100%. 1 million cent, 1 million cent. Get untrained and equipped like 100%.